I've had a lot of questions about movement in my Discord server, so I've decided to make a video to answer all of your questions in one video. So this video is going to teach you the 5 essential movement techniques that every player needs to learn. Whether you're a beginner or a movement god, I promise you can learn something from this video. Hey guys, I really hate doing this, but it works, so fix it. Thanks. The first technique that you need to master is sliding, and don't click off experienced movement players because I promise there's still something you can learn. The best way to master sliding is making sure you know exactly how often you can slide to get that extra boost of precious momentum. There are 2 ways to do this. One of the ways is the 2-second rule, where you can slide every 2 seconds, but that one's kind of weird because you always have to be counting in your head. My favorite way to do this is by just watching the hands. Every single time your hand comes up 4 times, you can successfully slide. No matter where you're coming out of, whether it be a super jump, super glide, wherever you are, you can do it after 4 hand movements, and it's super easy to get that extra boost of amazing momentum. Another thing is whenever you slide off of an edge, you get an extra boost of momentum, so it's always useful to look around your environment for things to slide off of. The second essential that you need to master is wall bouncing. Wall bouncing comes in many forms. Normal wall bouncing, fatigue bouncing, and a bunch of other bounces that we don't really care about today, because the 2 essentials you need to get really good is wall bouncing and fatigue wall bouncing. Learning how to wall bounce is really simple. All you need to do is slide jump into a wall, hold the directional key that you're planning to go, and jump as soon as you hit the wall. If you're on keyboard and mouse, you can use scroll wheel to make this a lot easier. It's important to note that you should not hold W while doing this. You should only be holding the directional input that you want to go in the direction of. So that'd be A or D on keyboard and mouse. You can combine this technique with tap strafing, which makes it a lot more useful, but I'll be going over how to do that later in the video. Fatigue bouncing is a technique that's very similar to just normally wall bouncing, but it uses a few special techniques that make it way different. One of these is wall running. While it sounds like it'd be super complicated, wall running is super simple. All you need to do is slide jump into a wall, and then hold the directional input that you want to go in the direction of. It's hard to explain, but if you just look at my keyboard overlay and adapt that to controller or keyboard, whatever you want to do, it should explain it super simply. Now actually how to fatigue jump. And this is one of the hardest movement techs that I'm going to show you in this video, so make sure to keep at it even if you mess up. If you keep trying, eventually you'll learn how to do it. And it's not that hard once you actually figure out how to do it in your fingers. But before that, I want to show you what fatigue jumps are, because they're different than bounces. Fatigue jumps are those small little hops that you get after each large jump. You can see them right here, and they're most useful in b-hopping. Once you have all that figured out, you'll want to figure out the climbing motion that you'll want to use while doing a fatigue jump. The best way to explain this by words is like it's an upside down L. And the best way to replicate this is by jumping next to a wall until you get your fatigue hops, and then climbing up the wall with a forward input, then changing it to a wall run, mid jump, and jumping off. Then in actual practice, you'll just want to speed up this process until you're chaining them together like a movement god. Another movement essential is zipline super jumps. And you might think that these are only useful in a few buildings on World's Edge where only sweaty players go. But that's not true at all, because you can zipline super jump off of any zipline in Apex Legends, and it gives you an easy boost of height and momentum that you can outplay your enemies with 100% of the time. There are a few ways to do this. If you're on keyboard and mouse, it's super easy. All you need to do is connect to the zipline and immediately jump off with jump bound to your scroll wheel. It makes the timing super easy to do because all you do is scroll and it jumps for you. On controller, it's super easy to do this as well. All you need to do is connect to the zipline and then immediately jump off twice. You can do it this way on keyboard and mouse as well, but it's easiest to use scroll wheel. Air strafes are another movement essential that every player needs to know how to do. And yes, you can do it on console and controller. That's because air strafes are a completely different technique than tap strafing, which can only be done on PC. Air strafing is super simple to learn, and I promise that you will use it in every single thing that you do in Apex Legends because it is just that useful. And the only thing you need to learn to do it is while falling, you'll want to hold the directional input that you're planning to go in, only that input, not any forward or backward or anything weird, and slowly pan your camera in that direction. This might sound extremely obvious to some, but for many people, this will be game-breaking in how they can move around the Apex world. This will be super useful for wall jumps and many other techniques that require you to hit a wall at a flat surface. And now to the last essential technique that I think everyone should at least know about, and that's because it's tap strafing. You can only tap strafe on PC, so console players can just not do the tech. But I still 100% believe that they should watch this portion of the video, not just because my watch time loves it, but because it's really useful to know exactly what you're up against when you're fighting other players. Honestly, learning how to tap strafe is very simple. The first thing you're going to need to do is make sure you forward bound to one of your scroll wheel buttons. My preference is scroll wheel up, just because it feels more natural. Once you have your bind set up, you're already 90% of the way there. What you're going to want to do to actually tap strafe is start an air strafe and then scroll wheel up during the beginning of this air strafe. If you wait too long, you will no longer be able to tap strafe. There's a short window after you leave the ground that you can do it. While tap strafing, you'll get incredibly sharp turns that are useful for literally everything in the game, and that's why there's such a controversy about controller players wanting it removed. And that's about it. Make sure you subscribe so you can get access to more cringe content and so I can keep dumping money into my car. Bye now.